Assalamualaikum. We are your host for today. I'm Smeera, Sahil, Senior Program Officer Counseling, Lahore.
I'm Sahil, Regional Coordinator, Abbotabad. May I request Banizi Banu to come to the stage to welcome our guests. Our guest of honor, Mr. Andrew Turner. Please, sir, you can proceed to the stage.
क्योंकि हमने उसमें भी डाला था
Mr. Turner is the Deputy High Commissioner of Canada. Our guest of honor, Mr. Tom Martinson, First Secretary Development, the Royal Norwegian Embassy. And our chief guest for today, Mr. Ijaz Qureshi, National Commissioner for Children. May I ask Ms. Varda, you need to join us on the stage as well.
Honored guests, once again, Assalamualaikum. We begin with the recitation of the Holy Quran by Mr. Ghulam Sarwar, Sahil Legal Aid Officer, Jaffarabad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس صدق الله العظيم.
Translation. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and the beneficial, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of men, the King of men, the God of men, from the evil of the whispering of the slinking shaitan, who whispers into the hearts of men from among the jinn and the men. Jazakallah. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to Sahil for the Child Friendly Newspaper and Best Volunteer Award. Along with this, we will be sharing other information on the protection of children.
Sahil is extremely happy to be able to present its contribution to child protection over the last 20 years. May I request Munize Bano, Executive Director Sahil, to give her presentation.
Assalamualaikum. It really gives me great pleasure to welcome all our very, very honored guests and all of you to Sahil today. And I am much blessed to be able to share with you today the 20 years of Sahil's journey. So, 1997, the setting up, a very small group of committed young girls decided that we have to talk about child sexual abuse. And so began Sahil with the founder MS Anushe Hussain, and the vision was no one has to be a victim of child sexual abuse. So then from 97, what was it? It was a whole set of ambitions. So they thought we must do research, we must have awareness, we must do trainings, people must know about it, and we must offer legal aid for CSA victims. Now, what were the challenges? They were tremendous, because they said, what language should we use to talk about this, since it was the first time? How do we influence journalists to be a little more sensitive about the way they report? Because also journalists used to use very harsh language. So that was a big concern, because that is where we had picked up the issue from. And the last was that whom should we address this to? Who will we talk to? Who is going to be willing to listen to us? So these were the challenges, and who will take this message to the children? So now, by 1998, they started looking at how they were going to address those challenges. So they started pushing for their agenda. So the first thing they started was, because it was something we could have in hand, that let's train the journalists. Let's talk to them. Let's ask them why they cannot have a more sensitive language and what can be done. So trainings across Pakistan with journalists. And that also led to where we are today with the Child Friendly Newspaper Award, that we will award journalists who follow a certain code of conduct. Then the research. So where should we find out who is going to take this message forward? So research was done with mothers in Islamabad, and their consensus was it has to be teachers. Teachers must tell our children about protection. So out of that came the Meri Hifazat training of primary schools. Then the other important thing was that if a case comes, and they did very difficult cases at that time, they were shot at, hit at for taking up the legal case. So they said that doesn't matter, but we have to give legal support to victims. So that was the next step. Then they thought we must also document this with news in a newsletter, and they also began working with the government, the NCCWD, and we had a small group of people who were working on the same issue, and they got together to start looking at what can be done. Excuse me, Sahil? Thank you. By 2001, we were ready to start even more innovations. So, interventions. So, primary school teachers kept saying, you must go to the secondary school because the issues are there also. So we started our secondary school teacher training program. Then we developed 16 altogether now, animations on child protection, so that children could easily pick up this message, and we could also share it on the electronic media. We had mass media awareness campaigns, so that people would know. We mentioned Sahil, we mentioned our service, and we had our protection messages. Alongside, we said that counseling seems to be an extremely important aspect of dealing with the trauma of children who have been victims. So we established the Jeet Healing Center here in Islamabad. And for easy access, toll-free helpline, and by then we were a little more technologically advanced, so we said a website. That was our first step. Now 2006, we took a major step forward. We went into all the provinces. So one office in each province: Lahore, Abbotabad, Sukkur, Jaffarabad. So we covered all the 4 provinces. By then we started, then and later we continued with interventions, and these are the markings of about 40 districts in which some way or the other Sahil had made an intervention. We got the opportunity, we actually sought out the opportunity to go and work with juveniles in Adiala jail, because we thought, yes, they're an extremely vulnerable group. When we went, there were 167 children in jail. And we had 6 years of intervention with them, where we helped them do art, we helped them do savings programs, we gave them counseling, gave them all the knowledge about child protection, and that was one of our wonderful interventions with them. However, after 6 years, we had to stop the program because Adiala jail became a high security jail, and it was very difficult to keep a schedule there. Next. Now come 2010. We feel we need to broaden our vision. So Sahil's vision was Har Bacha Mehfoos, every child safe, secure and protected. And our mission was that now we want an environment around our children which protects them. Because just protecting children and sensitizing teachers is not enough of a protection for children. So 2012-14, we expand one with the juveniles in our district jails, because we had to leave the other one, we went to the district jails, and our second big program was, next, that we went to the grassroots level. So we reached out to 1.6 million community members. Today we have reached out in 226 villages, 42 union councils, 13 districts in all the 4 provinces. Our networks, we formed child protection networks because we felt that is where they need to know and take action if there is something happening with a child. So every village has a child protection network which we help to capacity build with them to be able to protect the children of their villages. Alongside, we have a lovely puppet show which again gives protection messages to children, and we have shown it to more than 25,000 children to date. Our very well supported government initiative was when social welfare asked us to give our capacity building to their citizen community boards, which were across the whole of Pindi district. And that has been a wonderful intervention because they take it to their communities also. Sahil was also now being recognized as a platform for research. So the resource center was receiving more and more requests from national and international students to help them with research in the sense of with information, with data. Then increased internship requests were received from universities and students and schools. We want research on this. This was such a big step forward for us because till now we were searching for people to pick up this intervention, to talk about child protection. Now people were searching Sahil and saying, please help us. That was a wonderful step forward for us. Next year. So national level interventions where systems were having capacity building across Pakistan, Beacon House, Army Public School, Darul Amans, UNCHR, the Human Rights for Refugees, and SOS Villages. They have asked us to capacity build every single office or group or village that they have. Then we thought there are other factors which contribute because they keep coming up in front of us. There are other things which contribute to child abuse and we must also take them into account. So we started new trainings on early child marriages, on peace and conflict resolution, on gender-based violence, because all of these things we know affect children very badly. You see abuse around you, you model abuse. You see abuse around you, you're traumatized. You see abuse around you, you do not know how to function as a good human being. So that was again what we introduced in between 2012 and 16. Next. Alright, finally. Where did we go? Where are we today? How far have we reached out? We have reached, first I would really like to talk about the UNCRC, which we have reached with 1.5 million. Because if you know that the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child says that every single person in the country should know about the UNCRC. And we take it with every training of ours. And we've reached out to 1.5 million people with it. And then we have the program participants who are about 4.4 million. And with our cable and electronic awareness,